Watch out!
So a couple days ago, we talked about how a lot of the best developers at PlatinumGames have left the studio. PlatinumGames is known for its critically acclaimed and unique titles that see extremely low sales numbers thanks to generally bad marketing. Or in some cases, like Bayonetta Origins, non-existent marketing. More recent games like Bayonetta 3 and Astral Chain at least broke 1 million sales each, but mostly thanks to actual marketing campaigns by Nintendo. So, thanks Nintendo. But we all know the AAA quality that these games exert definitely deserves multiples of those million sales. Now, this unique problem that PlatinumGames faces has produced a regrettable outcome. Developers have begun leaving the studio after following the lead of Hideki Kamiya, a founder of PlatinumGames that, let's be honest, essentially was the face of the company. Kamiya has now founded yet another game studio though, to flex his creative muscles. It's kind of unconventional, and we're definitely going to talk about that later. But yeah, he labeled this new company Clovers. This is a nostalgic play on the name of his original game studio, Clover Studios, which he was a part of before transitioning that team to become what we know now today as PlatinumGames. The original Okami was a game created by Kamiya and Co. when they were originally under that Clover Studios moniker, so that makes it all the more poetic that their first endeavor under the semi-familiar name of Clovers is a sequel to that same game. I don't know about you guys though, but even as someone who closely follows the gaming industry, and especially these developers in particular, even I have to admit this entire situation is jarring as f***. Today though, I'm not here to discuss the details of the transition. We already did that last week. I do, however, want to emphasize, explain, and discuss what Hideki Kamiya is looking to accomplish with this newly found studio. It's not what you expect. I want to explore why he founded it instead of staying at PlatinumGames, and explain to all of you if this new studio, Clovers, really will be as liberating for creative freedom as Kamiya wants. Some recent interviews shed a ton of light on what we can expect, and why everything is happening the way it is, so let's dive right in. Back in 2019, Ikumi Nakamura and Hideki Kamiya went on camera to tell people that they want to make an Okami sequel. Nakamura even acknowledged that she knows people not only want to see Okami return, as much as Shin Kamiya want to make it, but we all specifically want Kamiya at the helm. Flash forward to today, and fans like myself and even the developers and director have all gotten our wish. Albeit in a more bittersweet fashion than we've hoped for. Like I've said in the past, I never thought we'd see the day where we might be sacrificing the Bayonetta series to get an Okami sequel, yet here we are, and that might be what's happening, at least in some sense of the word. I know it wasn't easy for Kamiya to leave PlatinumGames, but this Okami sequel offers a silver lining for us to latch onto, something positive. When asked in recent interviews why he left, Kamiya made it no secret that he has creative disputes with PlatinumGames CEO, Atsushi Inaba. Where Inaba had been trying to figure out ways to make Platinum more profitable, Kamiya said he just wants to create unique games as much as he wants, regardless of sales performance. I've already discussed why neither of them are right or wrong. They both have valid points and endeavors, but one thing is tangible. They both have acted on their desires, and it's separated their career paths. When it comes to forming the new studio, Clovers, the driving ideology of Hideki Kamiya was coming to terms with the fact that if he had stayed at PlatinumGames, his artistic spirit would have died. Those are his words entirely. He even acknowledged Inaba's side, that he understands it from his perspective of when he was the vice president at PlatinumGames. But as an individual, he didn't want to follow that line of thinking. Kamiya has explained himself to be the muscle at PlatinumGames. Conversely, he viewed Inaba to be the brains. Like poetry, Inaba would send signals to Kamiya. Kamiya would trust and listen to said signals and act accordingly as the on-field warrior. Just like the human body, they worked in conjunction effortlessly. Kamiya claims that, for most of his time at the studio, the two worked together extremely well. Do keep in mind that he and Inaba were both founders of PlatinumGames, and Inaba only recently became CEO of Platinum in 2022. Since then though, trust has been named as the core reason Kamiya can no longer act as the muscle for PlatinumGames' brain and good conscience. It's fairly clear that since becoming CEO, Inaba made big changes to the studio, and in Kamiya's words, he's remade PlatinumGames in his own vision. It's hard to say what the changes have been, and if they're the changes fans have liked or the changes fans have expressed disdain for. We've been witnessing this push and pull of creative visions from the outside looking in as consumers of their products, so it really is hard to tell which side of Platinum has wanted what. Like, a major creative dilemma that easily comes to mind, off the top of my head, is wondering who the hell at PlatinumGames wants to kill off Bayonetta and replace her with her daughter. And who was trying to walk that back with the creation of Bayonetta Origins as a sequel game to 3. I think it's pretty clear fans overwhelmingly want the outcome to be a full walk back and return Cereza to her title, as Bayonetta, in future games. And I'd assume Inaba understands that and even acknowledges the negative marketing implications of trying to sell a Bayonetta 4 without, well, the Bayonetta that we know and love from 4 beloved games and even Super Smash Bros. However, for all we know, it could have very well been Inaba's idea to try and replace Bayonetta with a more family-friendly and generic protagonist like Viola. For, I guess, some sort of broader appeal, but I'd argue Viola doesn't even offer that. Regardless, yeah, it's impossible to say who wanted what for the future of Bayonetta, but again, we're not here to discuss that today like we did last week. The point is that this is just one example of what I mean when I say that even as fans, the clash of creative and logistic ideologies is apparent, and that's not a good thing. Like, now even the fan base is tearing itself apart in anger and frustration over things like the final story beats from Bayo 3, or tone-deaf projects like Babylon's Fall that failed miserably because, well, it's simply something nobody had interest in. Yet PlatinumGames put a lot of resources into it. We're all pretty dazed and confused as to where anything is going with PlatinumGames, even though I think we've all made it pretty obvious what we like about them and what we want from them in future projects. A simple mix of creativity and respect for its own IPs that they've already created. That's all we ask. And they're gonna have to figure that out without their original core leadership now. Meanwhile, at Clovers, Kamiya gave us insight into the title of this new studio and what it represents. Turns out, it's not just a fun, nostalgic nod to Clover Studios. The logo is 4 C's creating the 4-leaf clover. Apparently, Clovers has a double meaning of sea lovers, and a quad meaning in the sense that each C making up the clover stands for a different word each. Kamiya said that 3 of the C's are set in stone. They represent challenge, creativity, and craftsmanship. He then continued to say that the 4th C actually stands for whatever you want it to. Whether you're a developer or a fan of the games they make, you decide what that C means to you. Among words that the staff has chosen, words like curiosity, cleanliness, crazy, and even coffee break have been named. Now, it's worth noting that Clovers is currently only made up of 20 individuals, and they're even split between 2 offices in Japan. And the core goal of Clovers is to preserve the creative vision of the games they represent and contribute to, meaning games like Okami 2 aren't going to be made solely by Clovers. Many aspects of the game and future games will be outsourced to like-minded developers, regardless of their company affiliations. This is pretty unconventional, and a core tenet Kamiya has pointed out is simply maintaining that investors can't influence or change the creative vision of a game made in conjunction with Clovers. This is interesting to me because a big question all of us were asking is, why would Kamiya go back to a company that would essentially be Clover Studios 3.0? What would that accomplish? Wouldn't the end result just be the same? And hey, as it turns out, the answer is no, because Clovers is something completely different than what we've seen before. It's not a traditional game development studio. It's difficult to say how successful this endeavor will be for Kamiya and co. But I'll be the first to say that I hope it does become successful. Not only because I love the members working at Clovers, but also because this would set a great precedent for the gaming industry moving forward if this does work out. Also, I just plain want a great Okami sequel, and I want it to sell well to bring the franchise onto the map like it deserves. But with all this new information, I want to know what your take is. Let me know down in the comments what you think about all this, because there is a lot to talk about. I'd like to thank my patrons on Patreon for making this video possible, and if you'd like to support the channel as well, feel free to click the link right in front of you. Afterwards, check out more of my videos like the one on your right, where I explain the entire transition of who is going to Clovers from Platinum and what it means for Bayonetta moving forward. I've been johtojonny. Catch you all there.